Right, y'all, give me just a moment. I was busy. Let me make sure the microphone is working. Yes, it is. I was busy making my donation to VP Harris's campaign, and ActBlue is a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. Let's get this fired off. Welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I'm your host, Clary GXC. We're going to get the word out on Spoutable. Then we are going to kick this off because there is so much to talk about, and honestly, it's bittersweet for me right now. I left this headline up because, as you know, I'm a few days behind since family was up and we were spending time with them that President Biden has dropped out of the race. Welcome. Hi, Pix. It's good to see you, hon. And the thing that troubles me about all of this is the fact that our media now wants to bring up President Biden's accomplishments, which I'm going to do as well. Welcome, Curious Cat Chat. It's good to see you. But in the grand scheme of things, they were the ones driving hard to downplay his 4 years of accomplishments. They were the ones driving hard the ageism, ignoring the fact that Donald Trump is just as old as he is and clearly has cognitive decline and failing. But instead of focusing on what good President Biden did coming into absolutely nothing being done between the years of 2017 to 2021, and on top of the insurrection in 2021 by 45, everybody wants to ignore the big red, should be red elephant in the room. Thank you so much for the follows. I appreciate you. Thank you for the bits, Picks. And I think what troubles me the most about the way the media has handled this is there are people that literally believe that President Biden just didn't have accomplishments, that he spent his whole entire time just meandering. And it's infuriating, but we know it's not true. So I'm going to pull up this graphic, and it might not be that large on here, so I'll try to make it as big as possible, because President Biden does not deserve to go out with any shame. This man worked so hard. So let me make this bigger. And I'm going to read out just some of the ones that stand out for me. I'm going to put this over my camera for just a bit, because he's not the only one that has amazing accomplishments too. But a lot of people want to act like President Biden didn't do enough in his 4 years. And I'm calling BS on you. Starting with the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan that helped us during the COVID-19 pandemic because we had to shut down and families were struggling. The $1,400 stimulus check that him and Nancy Pelosi negotiated. I know Trump tries to take credit for that, but he was trying to shut that shit down. A 1-year tax credit of $36,000 for families who were eligible, which mine was, and it helped kiddo during his last 2 years of high school because of that. We were able to get him new equipment and everything. 1 year EITC expansion, which is earned income tax credit for parents who are working. $350 billion in aid and state, local aid. $130 billion in schools for safe reopening during the COVID-19 pandemic. $40 billion for higher education, half of which must go to student aid. Extended $300 supplemental UI through September. That meant any families who just needed an extra leg up were able to apply and get an extra $300 a month. Expanded eligibility for the UI. So most people who didn't think they could qualify for that extra $300 could now. He made $10,200 in UI on the 2020 tax forms tax-free so that you wouldn't get penalized for needing help. $24 billion in child care stabilization. $15 billion in low-income child tax credits and grants. 1-year child independent care credit expansion. $46.5 billion in housing assistance, $21 billion in rental, $10 billion in homeowner relief, $5 billion in Section 8, $5 billion to fight homelessness, $5 billion for utilities, extended evictions moratoriums to August 2021 because so many people tried to petition for that, even though our Supreme Court eventually struck that down. He did all kinds of tax and credit expansions, COBRA expansions for people. He set new efficiency standards for cars, trucks, raising the requirement from 2026 to 43 MP3s to 55 MP3s because he's trying really hard to work with those who want electric cars to be the new norm. He protected the Tongass National Forest, one of the largest in carbon sinks, from development, mining, and logging. He revoked the Keystone XL permit, which Trump really wants to put back in place because he's already told people he doesn't give a fuck about the environment. He used a CRA to reverse the Trump administration's methane rule, restoring the stronger, cleaner air standards set by President Obama's administration. He had an EPA new methane rule, stricter, that will help methane emissions. He partnered with the EU to create the Global Methane Pledge, which 100 countries signed on to reduce those emissions to help our environment. He partnered with Build Back Better World to fund $100 billion climate-friendly infrastructure developing countries and working together to make our cities and areas, whether it's rural or industrial, more environmentally friendly. He gave $100 million for environmental justice initiatives, $1.1 billion for Everglades restoration, even though DeSantis is an asshole. $100 million for environmental justice initiatives, which this is a repeat, so okay. He did 8 at-home tests per month that can be reimbursed for insurance for COVID. He did $25 million for highly reusable masks for low-income families, $50 million for at-home tests free at community health centers, military medical teams deployed to help overburden hospitals. He rejoined the WHO, which Trump decided since he couldn't shake them down for money, the U.S. would leave. Prohibited discrimination against LGBTQ patients in healthcare. Prohibited discrimination against LGBTQ families for those who have gay children, trans children. They cannot be medically discriminated against. That was Biden legislation. Justice Department declared that Title X prohibits discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity in education. He revoked the ban on federal diversity training. He instructed VA to review its policies to remove barrier to care for trans veterans. First, Senate confirmed LGBTQ to Cabinet Secretary Pete Buttigieg to transportation. First ever confirmed by the Senate. Extended birthright citizenships to children of same-sex couples and abroad. He also expanded stuff in his cabinet where we had our first Secretary of Interior, who's a Native American, the most diverse cabinet, and he installed Justice Ketanji Brown as he promised to put a black woman on the Supreme Court, a first of her kind. He put $1 billion in public aid and private investment to address the most root causes of migration issues because he doesn't want to make immigrants the enemy, unlike the other side. Ended family detention of immigrants and moved towards other monitoring. I'm hoping that we continue to reunite families because some of them have not yet. HHS prohibited working with ICE on enforcement of sponsors of unaccompanied minors, so no more locking up children. Got rid of the harder citizenship test because anybody seeking proper asylum here should be granted the chance. Got rid of, I almost read that again. Allowed certain visas to be obtained without an in-person consulate interview. Rescinded metering policy that's limited migrant points of entry. Ended the war in Afghanistan. Now I'm going to say this. While he did the cleanup, it was Trump's order to do the rollout. He didn't have a choice in that matter. The first time in 20 years the U.S. is not involved in war, even though some people think war is profitable. Ended the support of Saudi offensive operations in Yemen. Airstrikes are down 54%. Issued policy restricting drone strikes outside war zones. Restored $235 million in aid to Palestine. And I know we gave to Israel too, but we're trying to do the best we can, mediating a war between two factions who have been fighting over a century. He made a defense pact with Australia and the UK. New rules to counter extremism within the military. Signed a capital police budget funding, and to help Afghan refugees, an EO on competitiveness to write consumer-friendly rules such as the right to repair, an EO on government. Social Security benefits will be able to claim online. Passports can be renewed online, which is great for people like me who might need it. Makes it easier for low-income families to apply for benefits. Increased telehealth options for people looking for healthcare, mental health, and physical health care. WIC recipients can now use benefits online. $7.25 billion in PPE funds to be dispersed between people who needed it. He also gave billions to HBCUs versus the millions that Trump tried to brag about. He gave restaurant recovery funds in the $29 billion. We were allocated funds to help America under this man. And all he got for all his trouble, all he got for all of this, was kicked in the ass constantly by our media telling him he was too old. Celebrities like George Clooney, who now want to back VP Harris, who I'm supporting full on. I'll even bring up this image. Not that one. I'll get to that soon. This was me during her race back in 2018 when she first announced she was running. 2017, 2018. I got this shirt from my friend DC Gummy Buns. Angela, I love you, dear. And it's no secret. I still got that shirt hanging in my closet. I'm going to be wearing it again. Especially once the fall because this is a nice cotton blend. I have always supported VP Harris's bid for presidency, and I supported her when she dropped out because she realized that the campaign was costly. She wanted to be able to pay the people who work with her, and I think deep down in her heart, she knew that Joe Biden was going to pick her to help transition her properly into the presidency from vice president. And what I don't like about what people are trying to say about her not being ready is trajectory-wise. Yes, in a perfect world, we would have waited to 28, had a perfect 8-year term for President Biden, who was doing a thing. But he realized after contracting COVID and with the media pummeling him after the debates, even though the person he was debating was no fucking prize, that he had to do what he had to do for the betterment and for the best of America. And stepping down, he knew he could endorse his VP, who was an AG, who was a DA, who stepped into the role of a senator, who graciously, as she became VP, continued to work across America and abroad to establish bonds and a good rapport with our allies, who isn't out there preaching about enemies and hating people, but unity and strength for all Americans. Whether you immigrated here, whether your roots were forcibly implanted, whether your parents came on the Mayflower, or if the Mayflower freaking landed on you, VP Harris wants to be the voice for all of us. And there are too many people brainwashed by the fucking Kool-Aid that really worry me. And I say this because I love my family. I love the family that I married into. I love my husband. But I have not hidden that I'm related to conservative Christians now. And sometimes we can get along because I'm military raised. I've considered myself very pragmatic. That's a good question, Pix. There's a lot of names. I think if she wanted to be smart and not really mess up the Senate, because we do still need senators in the Senate and it's a 50-50 split, she would go, even though I do believe a 2-woman ticket might be a rougher road with Stacey Abrams or Beto O'Rourke. I really do believe that Beto O'Rourke is ready for the VP role. I think he would get a lot of play in the South and beyond. And I've always been a fan of Beto. I know some people have mentioned Pete Buttigieg. He's another good pick, but I do believe that he needs to stay where he is in Transportation Secretary role for now. Get some more experience before he steps in to the prime time as either a VP pick or a president run again. I do believe that if I was going to pick somebody, I would pick Beto O'Rourke. Or if we had to do a 2-women ticket and people are get the vapors over Stacey Abrams, Tammy Duckworth has always been a favorite of mine. I would go with her. So there are a lot of people she could potentially pick. But I think people are jumping the gun trying to say governors. especially governors in embattled states like here in Michigan. I love Big Gretch. But it's no secret that there's a GOP collective trying to gun for her. They literally tried to assassinate her. Gavin Newsom is holding California together. Hochul is not well known, but she's doing well by New York. There really isn't a governor right now that I could see her picking to really do what would be needed to do to motivate people. So my picks personally, strategy wise, would be Beto O'Rourke. But let's face it, Phoebe Harris is a powerhouse. Whether people want to agree with me or not, this woman has shown strength and grace. Because as a biracial black woman, because I'm calling her black, I don't care. I know there's some dusties that like to say, oh, she's not black enough. Ignoring that our country has literally had a one-drop rule on the books for centuries now. She is the daughter of a Jamaican immigrant and the Indian American mother. She is half black and half Southeast Asian. She is a first of her kind, but she shouldn't be a last. She has come on record saying that she wants to be the leader that fights against fascism. The fascism that the other side want to downplay, but we're not going to let them. We're definitely not going to let them. And here's just a list that I got from Spoutable of VP Harris's accomplishments. Let's make this bigger before we go on to some deeper stuff and then VP Harris's speech. Because I'm going to pummel people with facts. I don't care what people say about me, but I'm a fact-based lady, and I want you to know what she has done. She has cast a tie-breaking vote in the American Rescue Plan since becoming VP, passed the American Rescue Act, and this was after her stint in Senate, where she reduced the school-to-prison pipeline in California. She extended the child tax credit. She is the reason why I was able to get my son his laptop and help him out his last 2 years of high school. Extended the unemployment health benefits through the American Rescue Plan. Passed a $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Secured funding for electric school buses. Secured funding to combat wildfires. Secured funding to replace lead and water service lines. Engaged with lawmakers at least 150 times for this investment. Led diplomatic missions to Guatemala and Mexico. Whew. Launched the Central American Flora Initiative, secured $4.2 billion in private sector funding for Central America, visited powers to strengthen the U.S.-France relations, visited Singapore and Vietnam and several Asian countries for strategic and economic ties, Poland, Romania for NATO ties, launched the Fight for Reproductive Freedom Tour, visited Planned Parenthood clinics in Minnesota, passed the COVID-19 Anti-Hate Crimes Act, promoted racial equality in pandemic response, chaired the National Space Council, visited NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center to promote space policies, passed the Freedom to Vote Act in the House, passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Act of advancement in the House, which is still stalled. Pisses me off that they don't want free and fair voting but calls themselves patriots. Built the Coalition for Voter Rights Protection. Supported the Affordable Care Act through specific policy measures. Expanded health care coverage. Passed initiatives for debt-free college, which they rolled out trillions to help people who are being crushed by student loan debt. Hosted a STEM event for women and girls to get more women into science. Championed criminal justice reform through specific legislation. Secured the bipartisan assault weapon ban passage. Expanded background checks for gun purchases. Hey, honey. Increased the minimum wage through specific policy actions. And even I feel a certain way about minimum wage, that it needs to be done carefully, state by state, so that we don't throw our economy into a tailspin. But I believe, since she does have a degree in economics and law, that soon-to-be President Harris will be good for these policies. She secured funding for affordable housing, secured funding for affordable education, launched the Justice is Coming Home campaign for veterans' mental health, proposed legislation for easy legal actions against financial institutions who charge out-of-control fees and out-of-pocket stuff for banking. strengthened the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which helped with travel, fees and scams, and other issues, and secured investment in an early childhood education and launched maternal health initiatives. This woman is a firebrand, and anybody who wants to disrespect her name is going to come up against a lot of us. Because VB Harris doesn't just have black women backing her. She has sorority. She has a youth vote that I know some people want to shit on the youth vote, and I'm always skeptical of how they do stuff. And green beans, we're not going to let them do what they did to Hillary. We are going to fight even harder for this ticket. As you see in my little corner down here, my little vote hammer. Because I said on Twitter after Hillary's stolen election, that was a real stolen election if you want to get technical, with Russia's interference, with all the shenanigans going on with ballots. But we didn't storm the Capitol. We had a peaceful protest, some of y'all, because I had to work, with pink pussy hats saying never again. We are never going to let a female be this disrespected when she is so close to shattering the glass ceiling. And we are going to shatter that glass ceiling. And my friend bought me that hammer. It's full of tools to replace the ones I lost on the move from North Carolina to Michigan. And I love my hammer. We are going to shatter that glass ceiling completely. But I want to get to some videos because it's not just about VP Harris that I will roll back around to her. The Lincoln Project have been some busy people. And I'm not going to front. I have not been a huge fan of their stuff. I think that they like to distance themselves from their roles of wannabe kingmakers back during especially the Bush era. And these are conservatives still. They have not left the party. They still have hope that they can salvage the party from MAGA. So I'm always skeptical, but I do enjoy when they put the country first. I'm always going to have that enemy of my enemy feeling towards them. I don't hate them as much as I did back in the day because I do feel like they flipped the script once they realized that Trump was a freaking rambling moron. But when I say that their ads and their videos and their constant hammering against Project 2025 and MAGA are truthful, I can't hate on that. So we're going to get with a little more lighter tone ad that they set up. And then we're going to move to the more serious stuff because I think people are downplaying what we're up against on purpose. They think we're all stupid and apathetic, and we can't be. So let's get with this, the Lincoln Project's first ad.
November 5th, 2024. Donald Trump defeats a divided...
Oh no, that's the more serious one. Give me a moment. I want to get the more lighthearted one up. Because they're all pretty good. And honestly, before we get into the more heavy, I definitely want the more lighter one.
Welcome to the Trump 2024 convention, brought to you by Project 2025. This week in the horrible city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, you'll see the best of the Trump Project 2025 party. It's a bold vision for a bright future. With Trump Project 2025, you'll love how new tariffs will make everything more expensive and set off runaway inflation. We know you'll appreciate paying for the big tax cut our struggling billionaires need. When you seniors are done freeloading, check out Project 2025's plan to end Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So get out of that nursing home bed and get back to work. And ladies, this convention has so much in store for you. With Project 2025, you'll learn how good you'll have it in the kitchen. Girls, if your marriage isn't working out, you'll need Project 2025's helpful tips to keep the romance alive, even if he's abusive, because we're getting rid of divorce.
They don't want
and
us
if
to
Mr.
escape
Wrong gets you
abusers.
pregnant,
It's so scary.
welcome to motherhood. Because we've ended Roe v. Wade, and we're going to criminalize birth control. And minorities, well, you didn't need those silly voting rights anyway. For you Jews, Muslims, Mormons, and other fake religions, you'll get a head start on learning America is a Christian nation. Project 2025 is Donald Trump's plan for your future, and it couldn't be any brighter.
Project 2025 Bright Future Guarantee applies to white evangelical Christian men only. Other conditions may apply. Offer not valid in a functioning republic.
Exactly, Lincoln Project. And that was just one of the many ads, because they have been hammering home the dangers of Project 2025. So let's transition over to a bit more serious. And I will give my reactions to this one, especially because it strikes to the heart of the problem with ignoring the fascism elephant in the room. It is scary that people don't want to take this seriously. But let's get this fired up. It's the Lincoln Project. And what could potentially happen after Trump is sworn in January 2025, which we cannot allow to happen.
2024. Donald Trump defeats a divided and dispirited Democratic campaign.
First off, quick pause. We are not divided. We are not dispirited. It might have made me bittersweet sad that President Biden isn't going to do another 4 years. But I have faith in VP Harris. So this does not speak for this Democrat. I'm just saying.
On January 20th, 2025, Donald Trump is sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. Unfortunately, he keeps his promises.
Yep.
Trump seizes control of a divided government, signing hundreds of executive orders implementing Project 2025.
Yep, that mandate.
Trump replaces over 50,000 civil servants with hardline MAGA loyalists.
Scary.
The federal oath of office now requires declaring loyalty to the president, not the Constitution.
Like a king.
Protected by the Supreme Court's grant of total immunity for official acts, Donald Trump orders the Department of Justice to arrest members of the January 6th Commission. Current and former DOJ.
Of course, he would want to throw people in jail that he thinks blocked him from his king-making place. And it's scary because it wasn't just Democrats. It was a lot of neutral and actual Republicans who were on that committee to show that you cannot commit sedition and treason against our country because the votes didn't go your way, man. But this is what happens under a dictator.
Employees and political opponents for treason, election interference, and conspiracy.
And if you think it'll just stop at that, I want y'all to watch V for Vendetta. Ignore all the theatrics of V and all that stuff, and I know it's a comic book. If you don't think we could end up with a North Fire situation where anybody who's considered undesirable ends up disappeared, ends up having their homes raided, they declared the enemy of a state? Come on now. Come on.
He declares it to be an official act. Trump ends birthright citizenship by executive order and turns millions of American-born citizens into illegal aliens overnight.
Scary.
Mass deportations begin. Hundreds of thousands, including legal U.S. residents and American citizens, are imprisoned in newly built camps.
And he did it before. He literally had the Trump camps. Please tell me this is not a bot. Oh, come on now. This is a serious Twitch stream. And I'm really annoyed right now. I don't like your kind in my freaking channel, man. I don't need promo. I just need the piece to do what I gotta do. Promo. So, give me a moment, y'all. Sorry about this. We'll probably be running a little over today anyway. But let me bop this. And let me, You're not sorry for bothering me, but you're banned. Don't come into my chat with that garbage no more. You bots get on my nerves. I don't need to be famous. Annoying. Sorry about that, y'all. I didn't mean to lose my composure. But it's a problem with Twitch that they're trying to get a handle on, but they still haven't. These agencies that come and bother Twitch streamers midstream with the, hey, I can buy you this. I got a person for you. Her name is Chantal /Foodie Beauty. She likes doing shit like that. But getting back to the seriousness of this. He's already set up these camps before. He already separated families seeking asylum. If you don't think he would do this again, along with deporting literal American citizens who have been here all their lives, wouldn't even know what to do being deported? I got a bridge in Brooklyn that I can sell you.
Protests erupt. Trump addresses the nation from the Oval Office, invoking the Insurrection Act and declaring the protesters a danger to American sovereignty.
Yep, enemies of the
He orders
public.
the National Guard to use deadly force to suppress the protests. In the wake of the bloody violence, Trump declares nationwide martial law, awarding himself new powers under the freshly signed American Sovereignty Protection Order, which defines protest of immigration policies as non-protected speech. And
in fact, give me just a moment, Pix, because as deep as good as this is, let me see if I can do this really quick. Just in case anybody else decides they're going to come in and ask me if I want to be famous. Just in case anybody else decides they're going to come in and ask me if I want to be famous. In case anybody else this is like super echo. If I want to be famous. Okay, give me just a moment. We are going to go into some dashboard stuff. Give me just a moment. Community. Roles manager. Add new. Get this right. Because I can't always stop to get these. And I know Axiom Wolf just got home. But I can always use some more mods. Just in case these bots get out of hand. Come on. Having a freaking moment here. There we go. And just give me one moment, y'all, because I gotta keep my eyes on stuff, and it's just frustrating when you have these bots just come in and disrupt the flow. So Pix, I gave you a sword. Because I thought I gave you a sword. Yeah, so you're a moderator too, just in case. You do have the power now to ban any bots that you see, or anybody who tries to disrupt, just like on YouTube, because honestly speaking, don't nobody got time for this nonsense. We're trying to have a serious conversation about politics, and they come in and they do crap like this, and then they interrupt the flow. So I hope you don't mind, but I already trust you to mod for me, and no problem, honey. I appreciate y'all for real. I already trust you as it is for my YouTube channel, so it only makes sense to trust you now on Twitch too, because this is where I do a lot of my serious political stuff. So I'm just happy that you don't mind. But let me pop this. Okay. Okay, let's get this down. Let's get chat restored and get back to this, because I am liking the way the Lincoln Project is handling the situation. And Pix, you know I love you, girl. I am glad to make you a mod for both my channels, for real. And Beans, I know that you're between work, so don't worry, girl. As long as I have somebody that can help me keep an eye on these people, we'll be all right.
A threat to national security. Governors in New York, California, Illinois, and elsewhere declare their opposition,
Michigan,
promising to refuse compliance in their states. Trump orders their arrests.
Yep.
Trump pardons every January 6th attacker, including those who assaulted the police, and in a White House ceremony issues a new presidential medal honoring them. Many are given jobs in his administration.
Scary.
The Department of Education is renamed the Department of American Values and mandates a nationwide Christian nationalist curriculum for all schools.
Ignoring that even schools receiving federal aid wear a melting pot. We have kids who are Muslim. We have kids who are Jewish. We have Hindu kids that go. Sikh kids who go. Atheist kids who go. The fact of the matter is, to force our Department of Education to establish a only Christian mandate spits in the face of our Constitution, which gives the right to religious freedoms, whether you worship the same as people or not. And we cannot ignore that there has been a strong, heavy Christian nationalist movement building for decades now. And they want this power. They want obedient little foot soldiers for fuckery. And it's not the faith that I'm rallying against. I know amazing Christians who go out of their way to spread the word, help people, build homes for people, donate, run actual helpful centers. And they are being drowned out by these weirdo hardliners who want to force incubate women, who want anybody black or brown or different from what they think is normal to feel outlawed. And they are dangerous to all of us. It is scary, y'all.
Receiving federal aid. Trump, joined by Speaker Mike Johnson
The
and
Hydra
evangelical
agent,
leaders, announces that the Department of Health and Human Services has reclassified mifepristone, making it illegal to distribute or prescribe, as well as new HHS regulations that make IVF treatments impossible to legally administer.
Which is such an oxymoron, because they're supposed to be the right to life. They want people to make babies, make babies. But yet a way to help moms who have fertility issues make babies would be banned because they don't understand science. They don't even understand how our bodies work. And we've already seen it in small doses in Mississippi, in Alabama, and other states with the ridiculous heartbeat bills, who didn't think about what it does for IVF treatments. Morons. This is the morons that might seize power and totally destabilize us on so many fronts.
Trump reverses one campaign promise by declaring a national abortion ban by executive order. Challenges to his authority are rejected by the Supreme Court, which has seen new...
Which he's stacked with Beer Guy Handmaiden, which already had Clarence Thomas, who should fucking be impeached. But not only would it be bad because Dobbs was already rolled back under 45, but he could literally just go and say, well, I'm the law now. Who cares if you have a pregnancy through SA? Who cares if you have a pregnancy through incest? You now have to carry that baby. Oh, you're underage? You're a 9-year-old like that poor child in Ohio who is a victim? Sucks to suck. You have to do it. Who cares? Some of these weirdos say, well, it was God's plan for that 9-year-old to carry her literal abuser's baby. Because this is how twisted some of these people who call themselves good Christians have become. Because they see this as a win instead of a loss for America. It's fucking sick.
Appointments from Trump after it was expanded to 12 justices. He signs an executive order removing abortion records from HIPAA privacy regulations,
which is crazy,
and announces a new federal data sharing program so states can monitor women's periods. Crazy. Thousands are detained while crossing state lines under suspicion of seeking an abortion.
Oh my God.
Trump's acting Secretary of Defense, a disgraced ex-general, fires over 400 generals and admirals, leaving the military leaderless.
And as somebody who is military raised, that scares me just as much. Because our military needs their leaders. They need that structure. They need that balance of power so that things don't get out of hand. But of course, if you only stack it with loyal, and you have a son who's 18 and older, or even a daughter, depending, whatever war Trump wants to invest us in to help his buddy Putin, your child will be cannon fodder. Whether you want to believe it or not. That is what will happen under a destabilized military under 45 in Project 2025. Hi, Snorhawk. Oh my goodness. I'm not trying to ban babies. Welcome, Snorhawk. It's good to see you. He's another friend of mine. He has an amazing channel. He plays games on here and on YouTube. So if you want to give him a follow, please do.
Other Trump appointees purged the ranks of the CIA, FBI, and Department of Justice.
Making a lawless
By executive
society.
order, Trump withdraws the United States from NATO,
which he
ends
already tried to shake down. NATO's not paying us money. NATO's not supposed to pay us money. It is a national coalition to prevent war crimes and other atrocities to people. Yeah, I don't understand how people are not getting that, but, you know, education's not on there. Oh, great. You don't hate babies, though. And you are a military personnel. So like I said, I feel like when I come across strong for the military, I do it for family, I do it for friends, because I don't want to see them under somebody who doesn't respect the roles that you have in protecting our country. And I do feel like there is stuff going on with this Project 2025 that would completely rip the fabric of our structured military apart. And I won't let that go. I did not have family fight against fascism in WW2 and beyond to have us roll back this far.
Cooperation with Ukraine. Russian tanks enter Kyiv. Vladimir Zelensky is killed. It is announced that Trump will run for a third term, claiming he was unfairly cheated in the 2020 election. His Supreme Court ultimately agrees with this interpretation, paving the way for Trump's 2028 re-election. If you hear all this and believe it isn't possible, then ask yourself, what did you believe was impossible just 8 years ago?
Boom.
This isn't a fantasy. It's Trump's plan.
Exactly.
And he's counting on you to believe it couldn't happen.
And that is why I wanted to start off with the Lincoln Project stuff, because so many people called me hyperbolic back in 2015 when I started going hard. I actually left my position with a game company doing promotions and stuff because I knew as heavily as I was about to wade into politics, especially on social media, I didn't want that causing friction with my job. Most corporate-owned entities do not want people that are as vocal as I am about politics working for them. So I stepped down before everything went down. And I wrote articles and blogs about how we are ignoring the dangers of a Trump presidency in 2015. How it would be bad that we ignored that he mocked a disabled employee, that he shamed and mocked a Gold Star Muslim family whose son gave their life protecting other soldiers in the Iraq War. How we just ignore his vileness with women, his bankruptcies and everything else. And I was called hyperbolic. Well, Hillary's emails, the Podesta stuff, Pizzagate, all that unfounded fucking bullshit. The October surprise that Comey said was going to happen, that was a fucking, might as well have been a fart in the wind. We allow the bullshit constantly drummed in by the media and defeated motherfuckers to allow us 4 years of destabilization under Trump. Need I remind you of what he did in Yemen that Biden had to fix with our allies and the deaths that were resulted of that? Need I remind you of the 4 soldiers that lost their life in Kenya that we still don't understand what that was about? The missing plutonium, the march in Charlottesville, the both siding literal Nazis. Good guys on both sides. The lack of COVID response that took family and friends from a lot of us. I'll never forget my friend who worked as a nurse. Her last fucking selfie on a respirator saying she still had hope. And Ann's not with us no more. Lynn, who actually beat the initial COVID virus, but suffered the effect of long COVID, who didn't even get to see her baby graduate. I teared up more at Kayla's graduation because of that, because her son is off the state right now, going to have a hopeful trajectory to a good football career. But his mama wasn't there to see him because we had a doofus in line during a preventable pandemic, or at least a pandemic we could have mitigated better with the response team that President Obama had set up for him, carte blanche. And he fired them all. Downplayed it because he didn't want to lose the election. And guess what, motherfucker? Because you couldn't be the leader that we needed during a disease that was ravaging us, we replaced you. It wasn't a stolen election. It was 20 million more of us who had had enough and who will continue to have had enough this November. Along with the youth vote, who seemingly right now is energized by VP Harris. And I want to get to why they're energized by her. So let me get this fired up, because this is Project 2025's hope to show you that we can feel sad that President Biden is not going to seek re-election. But we know that we got this if we work together. And we are not going to downplay President Biden's accomplishments. But this is a 1 minute video.
No one wanted it this way.
Exactly.
Joe Biden is a good man, a good American, a great president. But time and the burden of the office means it's time to step aside.
Me too.
To put a warrior into the political
I would have
arena,
loved that.
ready
for
to
real.
take on Donald Trump. To face up to the un-American plan Trump and Project 2025 will impose.
Yep.
Vice President Kamala Harris is ready.
Yep.
Experienced. And as a tough prosecutor, Kamala Harris dealt with men like Trump all
She
the time.
made Jeff Sessions
Rapists,
cry.
con men, frauds, criminals.
And the beer guy.
She's used to guys like Trump.
Yep.
Used to putting them in their place.
Yep.
Do we believe in opportunity?
Yes.
Do we believe in the promise of America?
Yes.
Kamala Harris will bring something to Trump he's rarely seen. Justice.
I'm telling you, the Lincoln Project has been firing on all cylinders, and they're not the only one. VP Harris did an amazing job with the speech. So I'm going to play some of this as well, because I want you to see that she is not only poised, but she is ready to accept the responsibilities as Commander-in-Chief. And I am definitely with her beyond this speech, but before it, too.
Distinguished guests, the Vice President of the United States, accompanied by Linda Taylor and Jordan Dudley.
Exactly. The prosecutor or the felon, yes. Versus the felon, definitely pissed. She is so nurturing too. Making sure everybody can. I don't see how they do it in them heels though. Could not be me, ma'am. I like my flats or my wedges.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Linda Taylor, Senior Vice President for Championships at the NCAA. You've been asked to sit, please. I'd like to thank President Biden and Vice President Harris for organizing this event today. This is an incredible backdrop to celebrate incredible achievement.
Okay, this is a sports
I want to
day.
start
This
by
wasn't the
congratulating
one
all
I
of you
wanted.
on.
Let me just scroll down for just a moment, y'all. I apologize for that. I thought this was the speech that she gave yesterday.
Disagreement is inevitable.
Go to videos because I know it has to be on there. That was 6 days ago. I guess this isn't. I got it confused. I'm sorry, y'all. I really wanted her one speech, and I can look on the MSNBC, and I'll bring that up on Friday. But I will just give you some highlights while I get Dark Brandon up to give a little bit of a palate cleanse. VP Harris wanted people to not only respect President Biden's 4 years of hard work and give him a round of applause. She wanted to let people know that she is ready for this job, that she understands the severity of stepping in with a nation that is still divided by ideologies and alleged core beliefs. But people who have been drummed in to march like foot soldiers for fuckery into believing that they are better Christians by serving a man who is literally the walking, talking guide to the 7 deadly sins. And I say this as a person who literally has family right now, who I love and consider dear, who has drank in the orange Kool-Aid to the point where we don't talk about it. They won't bring his name up around me, even though I'm not a bear against them. I just want people to vote. But they don't want pushback against this man's clear track record of abuse, abusing his power, and literally lining us up to be fascism ready. They ignore the history of countries that went down this path. The amount of good citizens who thought they were doing the greater good, putting their country first, that ended up cannon fodder to a madman and his cronies who want law for thee, but not for me. I get it. It's hard when you don't really know, when you've lived in towns where there are many people that don't look like you, act like you, worship like you. When the world's changing and technology's scary, but also the freedom to be yourself is scary to me, because back in the day, especially if you lived around the 40s and 50s, men were men, women were women, and confidence could be sold as an ad. We live in a country where they want to outlaw you being able to express your gender identity, your sexual orientation, where women's only place is barefoot pregnant and then replaced when we get too old for that. They want a nation that they say under God, but will ignore the fact that plenty of people on this planet worship different gods or decide that they don't need to worship a god at all. And that's all right, because that is what makes our country and our world a great place, the diverse tapestry. And it shouldn't shake your religious foundation that we live amongst people that don't look, act, pray, and worship like you. It should make you stronger in your faith to know that you can exist amongst people who don't live the same life and don't walk the same path as you. But that is not what this fascism, weirdo Christian nationalists want. They want you to not question the cruelty of separated families. They want you to believe that everybody seeking asylum from South American countries or happen to be black and brown are just here to create chaos and destruction. They want you to hate people who don't worship like you, like Muslims, and eventually Jewish people. Because don't forget that a lot of these white Christian nationals have heavily anti-Semitic leans. But they'll smile in your face if you work for them as good little puppets to usher them in. Black and brown people, we have always fought for our spot to be recognized as humans. If we allow these people into place, our rights to even be called humans might come into question. They certainly don't want us voting. So when I say on Friday, I will get VP Harris's speech, I promise you that, because I feel in my heart, you need to hear that this woman is ready to not only shatter that glass ceiling, to make a historical first, but to lead our nation to a better America. I stand with her just like I stand it with Hillary Clinton, because I didn't let the decades of trashing her character, whether she didn't leave her husband for cheating, or whether you just didn't like her for some reason with the internalized misogyny. I didn't let the media who likes to play games and want a horse race continue on to march us into dangerous times, especially after COVID. I refuse to allow our country to go down a dangerous path that we can avoid by being politically invested, being aware, and holding any politician to feet to fire. I heard about Mendes retiring or dropping his Senate placement. He had to. He was corrupt. We call into question anybody, whether they have an R by their name or a D by their name, to do the right thing. That is what pragmatism means. It doesn't mean my side versus yours. It means getting the job done no matter what party affiliation. And we have seen over the years that we have had to go after people on both sides for not doing their job. It is important. But before we wrap this up, I'm going to go to some Dark Brandon, because Beans got me on hip to this cartoonist, and I love their work. But I want them to show us what they mean by a new hero rises.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. And Linda, I want to thank you for all you do to support these extraordinary student athletes. And it is good to be here with so many.
And they took from the NCAA, so maybe that was the speech, but I thought she did something else. But before I really let this play, and I'm sorry for the quick pause, I'm going to need people to lay off the Shiro stuff with black women for a bit. We're just trying to do the best by this country. We're not superheroes. I know I like to play around and talk about black girl magic, and we do have magic in certain ways with how we take care of our family. We stay educated, we stay informed, but we're just human beings. And I don't want people putting people on unneeded pedestals and putting more on their shoulder than needed, because this could, and if I get my way, will be the next leader of our free nation. And she's going to have enough to do without you making her a superhero. But I'm going to let this go because I do like Dark Brandon.
Many leaders, including, of course, members of Congress, members of our administration, and our extraordinary athletes. Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better and recovering fast.
Thank
He
God.
looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history.
Exactly.
In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy.
And not to interrupt the president, because I literally read a news article that tried to twist it to say she made people clap for President Biden. This is what we're up against. The broken fourth estate is literally trying to say, yes, you may clap, because people were looking like, should we interrupt? And Kamala said, yes, you can clap. clap because this is good stuff I'm saying. And of course, we have media outlets trying to say she forced people. It is going to be a mess till November, y'all. And I am going to be here to fucking clap back against the fuckery that our media is going to try to portray. Because we know we're in it for a fight.
Of most presidents who have served 2 terms.
Exactly.
And I first came to know
me too. I'm shouting into
Biden
the
through
ether.
his son, Bo.
The very cosmos.
We worked together as attorneys general in our states. And back then, Bo would often tell me stories about his dad. He would talk about the kind of father and the kind of man that Joe Biden is.
That passed.
The qualities that Bo revered in his father are the same qualities that I have seen every day in our president.
Yes.
His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big heart, and his love, deep love of our country. And I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful.
Look at that Tyler just standing there, and they even made him look better than he really is. No pancake maker can show against the wrinkles and the angry lines.
So with that, on behalf of our President and Dr. Biden, I am honored to welcome all of you to the White House to celebrate the achievements of these great athletes. Every one of them is a national champion.
I love the way they continue to focus on him as the anger rises. Because he thought this was going to be a slam dunk. He thought that President Biden stepping down would be an easy glide into the White House. No, motherfucker. Nah, not on our watch. And that was Dark Branding, y'all. If you have not subscribed to them, I would definitely highly recommend them. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up by saying this. This isn't just a fight of Republican versus Democrat. This isn't like your favorite football teams. We are literally up against an ideology that will fully destabilize America. From our education system to our military, from our hospitals to our schools. We are in danger if we ignore the looming fascism threat that it's draped itself in the cross and Bible and is trying to tell good Christians that you will be better if you fall in the line with our fuckery. I can't deprogram people who are already deep within the conservative sauce. It's not my job. My only goal till November is to motivate those who are apathetic, those who are scared, those who are unsure right now which way to vote, to use their voice the best way they can in November. My only job is to do my part with my political investments in my local elections, in the state elections, and the nationals to keep my A+ scorecard in voting. It is my job to make sure that my son, who is now old enough to vote, continues his path to A+. My partner continues his path to the A+. And friends and family who want my political takes and advice, I will answer your questions as best as I can. Like I said earlier, I do believe strategy-wise that it would be wise for VP Harris to pick Beto O'Rourke, but I will have on Friday more of a spread chart of people that I'm hearing buzzing and those the media are trying to push for VP Harris's pick. And while I wish we lived in a country where I could be happily satisfied with a double female ticket or a ticket with another marginalized American group, I really want VP Harris to become Madam President. So I want us to be strategic. I want a ticket that is so powerful no matter what. Racism, because we know that's coming. Misogyny, because we know that's coming. Vile hatred for this woman's accomplishments, achievements, and what she could do as our leader. From the media, Trump, and Fox News and beyond, to rub right off of them and bounce right back on to the haters. We have to do this right because we only got one chance of this. Once these Nimrods seize power, it's endgame for us who care about our republic, who care about our education, who will be called enemies of the state. I don't want to see us rounded up. I don't want to see more Trump literal camps. Because I'm not going to disrespect the Holocaust again. I remember when I called them the concentration camps on Twitter. I still stood by them because babies were laying on floors with 4 blankets, traumatized by being pulled from their families. But I know how people like to run with stuff. So I will say this. I don't want to see an American dystopia. And I'm going to fight hard with every strength in my being to make sure that doesn't happen in November. And I hope that any of you who are listening are with me. And those of you who are not, you fight hard for your side. We'll see in November which one of us come out. But I'm going to wrap this up. Going to make my family dinner. I thought I was going to run over because I thought I had the speech. And apparently I did. That was the NCAA speech. But I do think that there are going to be more before Friday that I can do to highlight VP Harris's picks. And I do want to talk about strategy on Friday about who she could potentially pick as her running mate. But until then, keep fighting a good fight. Keep living your best life. And I'll see you on Friday for the next Bonnet Chronicles. Thank y'all for sitting in.